Hi and welcome to Code with Stein. This is part 11 of building a time tracking set using Django and Vue. In this part I'm going to implement a recurring payments using Stripe. So first we need to create a Stripe account. I have already done it, but you need to do it before you can continue if you don't have one. When you have one, you will see that on the front page the publishable key and the secret key will appear on the front page. You can copy both of them. So just click to copy and then go into settings.py, and at the top here we can say Stripe publishable key equals and paste it. But you also need the secret key. This you can call Stripe secret key and save. Both of these are test. That's because we are in the test environment and not production. When you've done that, you need to create two products. I've already created mine, basic and pro. I see that I've written the wrong price because the price is supposed to be $10 and not 15. Just go into it and change the price, edit 10. And it's set to recurring. Perfect. So if I now go to my products, I have Pro and Basic. So I can go in here and then I can copy the API ID for the Basic. Go back to the settings file, create a new variable, Stripe Basic price ID equals, and then Stripe Pro price ID equals. Then I go back again to Stripe, into the Pro, and copy this one and paste it there. So now everything there should be okay. So then I can actually set the first task to done. Next step is to install Stripe. I'm not going to use plugins like DJ Stripe or similar, because what we want to achieve is quite easy to do without. So I can just go to the command line, stop the server, and say pip install Stripe. This will also install the dependency that Stripe has. And when that's done, we can run the server again. I've also installed the Stripe CLI on my Mac, and I need to run this in order to use webhooks so Stripe can talk to us. And to run this, I just add /stripe listen forward to localhost 8000 /dashboard /my account /teams API Stripe web hook. I want to implement this soon, but I can just hit enter now and have this running in the background. But I need to copy this webhook signing secret. So I just copy this, go into settings.py again. And we can call this Stripe webhook key and save. So now we have set up and installed and set up Stripe, and I have run the CLI. I can add a link in the description so you can find where you install the CLI. Just want to add one more variable to the settings file because I want the website URL so it's easier to use, and I only have one place to change this. So if I set up website URL equals, then I can copy this, and acceptation URL should now be website URL plus sign up. So I'm going to use this variable very soon. So the next step now is to create a new file called API inside the team app. So if I just find the team app, then create a new file, api.py. To make it easier, I have already created this for myself. So first, I added a new comment where I say that I import things from Python. I just import Stripe and I need to import JSON. Then I import some functionality from Django. I import settings from django.conf so I can access the variables inside the settings file. Then I import the login decorator because we need authentication for these access points. And I have imported JSON response and HTTP response. And I have a URL, now a reverse function from URLs, so I can get the correct URL for certain pages. And I have imported another decorator called CSRF exempt. I need this because Stripe will attempt to get a post request to our server, and then we need this. Then I import the theme model. Then I create one view. Here we need the login required. The view is called create checkout session. First we initialize Stripe and set the Stripe secret key. This is not supposed to be used on the front page. Then I create a new variable data and get the JSON from the request body. This is when we submit the form in the front end. Then we get the plan from this data. I check if the plan is basic, and if it is, I set the Stripe price ID to Stripe basic price ID, which I get from here, these two. And when that's done, I try to create the checkout session. Then I call Stripe. I use the client reference ID, which is the theme ID, so I can know which theme to activate later. I set the success URL, which is the reference to the website, which is this one. And then I append the plan's thank you page. I will come back to this very soon. And if you try to cancel while you are paying, you will be redirected back to the plans page on the theme. Payment method can just be set to card, and mode is subscription because this is needed when we're handling recurring payments. The item you are going to get paid for is this price ID, and quantity is 1. And when that's done, we return session ID to the front end. If this isn't working, we will return an error to the front end. Next, we add the CSRF exempt. This will be called when we have made a payment. We get information back from Stripe. And when that's done, we initialize Stripe again by setting the Stripe secret key, and then the webhook key, which we created here. Payload is information we get from Stripe. Sig header is a signature header, which is information we get from Stripe. Then we try to set an event using the payload, the signature header, and the webhook key. If it doesn't work, we return a 400 error back to Stripe. And if it's a signature verification error, we also return a 400 error. But if it's not, we will continue here. And then we will check if the event has been set to completed. Then we know that the payment is okay. And when that's done, we create a new variable called session with information from this event. And then we get the theme from the database based on the variable we set up here. And then we set the Stripe customer ID. This is information we get from Stripe, and also the Stripe subscription ID we get from Stripe. And then we save it and just print a message to our log. And when everything is ready, we return an HTTP response with 200 back to Stripe. Now we can save this file, and we need to import this to the URLs. So first on the top here, I import from API, import create checkout session and Stripe webhook. And then I can append this to the URL patterns list. So API/Stripe webhook and API create checkout session. And we can save this, and then I can set this task to done. Next part is to update the plans page view. Here we need to make it possible for the teams to cancel a plan. I know that's this task, but we can just update the view now. So if I go back to views.py, and then inside here, I paste a little bit of code. First I create an empty error variable, which we can use in the front end. So I can copy this and just append it to the list so we don't forget it. And then we see if the URL has a parameter called cancel plan. And then we set the plan for the theme back to the default, which is the free, or the one you set to the default. And we set the plan status to cancelled. Then we save the theme, and then we need to call Stripe and cancel the plan. To do this, we initialize the Stripe by saying Stripe secret key, and then we call delete on this subscription ID. If there are any errors, we will get it here and we will show it in the front end. I will need to use the Stripe public key in the front end. You need to append it here. So this will be a reference to the one in the settings page, but I also need to import settings to this page so we can use the settings there. So from django.conf import settings. So now those variables will be available here as well. Perfect. Okay, there are no errors there, so we can just continue before we start testing. So now I can set this to done. The next part now is to create a thank you page. I can begin with the view. So if I just go to teams/vue.py, then I paste it here, which I just created. Added the login required decorator and then created a view called thank you. Then we get the theme like we do on all the other views here. Initialize Stripe. What we do here is to get the subscription from Stripe, and then we get the product from Stripe as well. And then we need to set the plan status for the theme to active, set the plan and the date, and then the theme plan, we change this to this. So then we set the theme plan to whatever comes from Stripe and save. Then we just return everything here and show the error if there are any. So now we can save this and import this to the URLs pattern. So I can just copy this, say /thank you, and replace and save. Next is the template for this page. So if I just go into the theme folder, create a new file, save it as plans, thank you.html, paste the code I have created. First we extend the core base template. The title is just thank you. Then we add the the breadcrumbs, sorry. And then here, first we check if there are an error. We just say, whoops, something went wrong. Go back to the plans page and try again. But if it worked, you say thank you for purchasing a plan. And then you can go to the dashboard and everything will be okay. So we can save this, just close it. Then we can actually set this task as well to done. So now I think we can actually go and test this. So if I go back to my account, details, change plan, you see here that I have the pro plan. Okay, the last thing we need to do before I can test this is to go to the plans page, and then I need to update the subscribe function here. So I pasted some code. And what happens here is that I use the fetch function to call this URL. This is one of the functions we created in the API file. So when I do this, I paste in or pass in the plan we are selecting when I click the buy button. Then I call Stripe redirect to checkout with the information we are returned here. And then when that's done, Stripe will handle the rest for us. We can just save this, refresh, then I can click the start button there. Okay, there is an error. Settings has no attribute website. Okay. No, it's supposed to be website URL, sorry. So if I just go to the API, to replace this and save, and we can try again. Start. Okay, now I was redirected here. So subscribe to basic, $5 per month. Just write the random email, 42 for testing, Stein. Subscribe. Now we can see what happens here. As you can see here, the CLI was updated and we called back to this Stripe webhook. Perfect. Everything seems to be okay. No, whoops, something went wrong. But what went wrong? Because my team subscribed to a plan. So we got to this part. So everything here looked okay. There could be a problem with the CLI or something like that. So if I now go here and into my team, change plan, still set to pro. Okay, I see here in Stripe that the payment succeeded. So that should be okay. So there is something wrong with the webhook, I think. But the webhook went here and returned 200, okay. So the problem might be on the thank you page. So if I just copy this again, see if I can test it again, hit enter, whoops, something went wrong. Why is it wrong? Okay, it stopped already here. Settings is imported. So it should be okay. Okay, I forgot to import Stripe in the views.py file. So up here, I say import Stripe, save, refresh. Okay, still something went wrong. Okay, I forgot to import datetime. So from datetime, import datetime. Sorry about this mess. Refresh. Still the same problem. Try one more thing. Okay, it seems that I forgot to import plan as well. Sorry. Again, plan. Then we refresh again. Thank you for purchasing a plan. Perfect. So now everything there actually worked. So if I go back to team now and details and into change plan, you will now see that the basic is working. Perfect. So then I can go back to the to-do list. Set this, no, I should start on this task, but yes. Okay, so now I can show the current plan on the team page. So above here, below the title, if I paste this here, show a title, current plan, then I just say team.plan.title. If the plan is not free, I show a plan and the date. And if the status is active, I show a auto renewing information. Save. And then I can go back to my team. And here you'll see current plan, basic, and it will end in 30 days. Perfect. So now the next step is to make it possible to click cancel on the plan. So in here, I want to make it possible to click this cancel button. Actually, I think I implemented that already. So if I just go to plans, yes, if I just click this cancel button now, it should cancel in the background. So now I set back to the free plan. If I click here now, current plan is free. Great. So now I can set this task to done, and I can set this task to done. Next, I want to create a script for checking active subscriptions, because if you go to Stripe and cancel the plan there, I need to know this. So we'll be using the Stripe API to do this. Before I continue, I just want to say thanks to my Patreons. So in the core folder, we create a new folder called scripts, and in there we create a new file called check subscriptions.py. When we deploy this to a live server, I will show you how to run this. So first I import Django, OS, sys and Stripe. And then I initialize Django by doing a little bit of magic. And here I can say I say minutos.settingsprod. This is a file I will create when you deploy this project. And when this is done, we can use Django as we are used to. So I import the settings, I import the team and plan models, and then I initialize Stripe. Then I loop through all of the teams and get the subscription ID. If sub.status equals cancelled, then we set the plan back to default like this, and then we change the status and save. And this will run one time per night. So now I can set this task as well to done. And then everything for this part is finished. Thanks for following me along. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. If you want to check out the source code for this part, you will find the link to GitHub in the description below. In the next part of this series, we will deploy this project to a live server. See you next time.